I just can't handle it this way. Color, I must get round to it. I ain't ready. Crazy little thing called love. This thing called love, it cries like a baby in the cradle all night. It swings, it chimes, it shakes all over like a chatting fish. I kinda like it. Crazy little thing called love. There goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She drives me crazy. She gives me hot and cold fever. She lifts me in the cool, cool sweat. I gotta be cool, relax, and get in, get on my tracks, take a back seat, hitchhike, and take a long ride on the motorbike until I'm ready. Crazy little thing called love.
Well, hello, it's Jerry McKee, and you know what time it is, and you're not hearing all these clocks going off I had in my house. Remember when all them things go off when I first come on at 7? Because I'm not in that place. I'm in a different place, off location, and we got a great show for you tonight. And this great show is a great band. It's been going for ages, it seems like, because the Swingin Medallions, and they are a timeless tradition. And when you have tradition, you find it says the handling of a belief, legend, or custom from generations to generations. Well, the Swingin Medallions, a Southern tradition since 1962, they are a living definition of this word. How does the band endure generations? Well, this group's signature high energy style delights audiences all over the place, all ages. Their act as well as their music is indeed timeless. The band was founded in 1962 by John McElrath. I hope I got that right, but I probably didn't. And now it includes his son, Shawn and Shane, plus Joe Morris, the original drummer, who makes as many shows as he can. And now we're going to bring Richard on, and we're going to talk about this wonderful, wonderful band called the Swingin Medallions. Here he is. Hi, Richard. How you doing?
Hey, Jerry. How are you doing tonight?
Well, we are doing great. Now, Richard, what instrument do you play with the Swingin Medallions?
I'm a trumpet player and sing. So I do about half and half. I sing about half the time and play trumpet about half the time.
Oh, well, I'm going to ask, when you was growing up as a kid, was you always wanting to get into music, or did your family have some music roots, or how did you decide, instead of going to being a football hero, to playing music?
Well, my mom and dad were both in high school band and enjoyed it. And so when it came time, I was a kid in Lawrence County in District 55 High School. And when they asked for kids to sign up for band, I signed up for it. And of course, I think everybody wants to be a drummer. And I found out later in life why they didn't let me be a drummer. I've got a degree in music, and they said, well, most time you pick your drummers from the kids that can't carry a tune in a bucket. So they decided I need to be a trumpet player. So I played trumpet all through middle school and high school, and then decided I wanted to be a music teacher. So I then went to Lander University and studied music education there at Lander. And so that's how I kind of got in the music business. And then Shawn McElrath, John McElrath's son, and I were in some classes together at Lander, and he was in jazz band. So this cool kid with this big wind tunnel tested 80s hairdo, looked like the flock of seagulls hair, approached me one day and he says, hey, my dad's got this little band and we need a trumpet player. You want to come to rehearsal next week? I'm like, sure. So that was 1986, and here we are almost 2026. So it'll be 40 years next year that I have been involved with the band in one form or another.
Wow. Now, your group effectively blends like the sounds of music of yesterday and today.
Yeah.
Is it hard to go from era to era? Because you figure 1962, we kind of grew up in that area where they had the hippie days and the Beatles
Sure.
and all these great artists now. And in changing this music, we of course we had the 45s and the
Oh, yeah.
that stuff, and the albums 33, 78s and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, equipment changed quite a bit too, didn't it?
It's changed a lot just since I've been in the business. I can remember, you had heavy amplifiers and huge speakers and I mean, it's just and the digital age has downsized everything and lightened everything up so much. We used to have a just about could fill up an 18-wheeler full of equipment. What we took on the road with us, now we can, just about carry it in. We've got a 3-man road crew that sets up for us, and their job is a lot easier than it used to be because the equipment is so much better and more durable now than it was back in the day.
Yeah, so I know when I was DJing back in years ago there that the speakers was like bigger than houses. You got to call, bring in, and time you,
Oh yeah.
man, it was heavy. But you're right. Now it's they're making it more powerful and less weight.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, it used to be you just had to carry a huge truck everywhere you went just to carry the equipment around and try to skirt past the weigh stations when you could because you knew a lot of times that you probably had more weight in that vehicle than it was meant for. But yeah, it's much easier now than it was. And we used to have these huge mixing boards that were 40 channel mixing boards that were 6 feet wide and weighed a ton. And now you can literally mix the band with an iPad.
And I've seen one band do that, and I said, "Wow, he can sit back there and do all this little stuff just with little handheld thing. It's amazing." Now, I know that when the band started in 1962 and they played a lot of venues, did they play a lot of different colleges? Because I know you went to college and,
That's
uh,
kind of where the band got started. Is they were college kids. They were college kids at Lander College at the time. I keep saying Lander University. They were most of the kids were from '96. Kids off the Mill Hill. Lander had just gone co-ed, so it was 10 girls for every guy, which was probably good odds back then for those guys. So they were at Lander and just decided to start a band just to have some pocket money and pick up girls. And they started playing the University of Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, played up and down the East Coast, and mostly down on the Gulf Coast and down into Florida some. And that was kind of their specialty was playing, up and down the coast and what later became beach music. And back then it was just good old R&B '60s music, and so that's kind of how they got their start was playing colleges and stuff like that.
now who was your favorite artist growing up that really kind of inspired you to go this route?
My dad was a huge trumpet player fan, and so he listened to Herb Alpert, Maynard Ferguson, Bill Chase, a lot of the good trumpet players like that. But I grew up listening to, Chicago, of course, big horn band, Tower of Power, those guys, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. So anything with horns in it kind of appealed to me, and that's kind of our thing is we're one of the few bands that still travels with a big horn section because it's financially prohibitive for sure because it's hard to carry 3, 4, 5, 6 horn players on the road with you all the time.
Well, I can see that. Now, was that what got you interested in playing the horns? Is some of these artists, or
Oh sure, yeah. I mean,
because
we
most people pick up, like a guitar and things like it, and want to play in the band.
yeah.
But I think the horns are cool.
Like I said, I was a band nerd. I was in marching band and all that, and had a good time doing that, and just kind of had no idea that I would still be doing it now, 40 years later. And that's one thing I tell kids when they're growing up and thinking about what they're going to do. And I'm like, you can play football, you can play baseball, you can play basketball, you can play soccer, but at some point your body's not going to let you do it anymore. But you can play music the rest of your life. I mean, you can take your trumpet and go to the nursing home when you're 85 years old and pick up girls. So it's something you can do the rest of your life. It's a lifelong thing that you can do. I mean, your body, as long as your body will, let you do it, do it. But like I said, at some point, athletic things are not going to last forever. But you can do music all your life.
Exactly, and you got to be pretty good at playing music too, because me, I wouldn't have picked up any girls. They would believe me. I'd have got a harmonica out and tried to play that. But what was one of the best venues you remember that just really just blew you away?
The Fox Theater in Atlanta is just such a cool venue. I mean, the architecture there and the history of that place. That's where they debuted. uh, Gone with the Wind, and just the history of that building. It's just a cool venue. And they have what they call the Egyptian Ballroom, which is kind of a another venue that's attached to it. We've played there for several things, and there used to be a radio station in Atlanta called Fox 97, and
Mhm.
they played kind of oldies. And in fact, they were actually owned by Roy Disney. Walt Disney's brother actually owned that radio station. And it was like looking at the ghost of Walt Disney walking down the hall when you went to that radio station. But they used to have a show called the Ultimate Oldies Contest, Ultimate Oldies Concert, and they would literally sell out the Georgia Dome. And they would
Wow.
have you know, 6, 8, 10 bands, and each band only played like 15, 20 minutes, but they sold the Georgia Dome out. And that was always just amazing to me that, you know, they could put that many people in that venue. So that was always really cool doing that show. We did that show several years in a row, and of course that radio station is no longer around. But um, so we've played some cool places and done some cool things over the years.
Now, what is your key of your success? This band has been going since 1962,
Yeah,
and I know you lost some members, unfortunately, and you have recruit new members of the band. And what was that process like? Is it harder to find, or you hear someone playing somewhere and say, "Hey, I got to approach that guy like you was approached"?
it's amazing. A town the size of Greenwood has as many good musicians as it does. It's kind of off the beaten path. You got to mean to come to Greenwood. We're about halfway between Atlanta and Charlotte, of course, but you know we're about an hour from Anderson, Greenville, Spartanburg, Augusta, Columbia. But for a town of our size, we've had lots of great musicians here, and it's funny when somebody leaves the band or moves on to something else. It's like, oh my God, how are we going to replace this person? And somebody comes along and fills those shoes, and it just always seems to work out. I'm always amazed by it. We've got a new guy in the band now, Mackenzie Walden. He's 23, so we've got a 23-year-old in the band, and we've got a 73-year-old in the band and everything in between. So I mean, we've got a 50-year range in membership in the band right now. It's crazy, and
Wow.
I just turned 60. So, and I don't feel like I've been doing this 40 years. It'll be 40 years next year since I started in the band, and it has flown by.
I got to ask this question. How is the wife kind of support this? I mean, your
It,
girlfriends
it, ta-
didn't
it takes a
export.
special woman to know that we're going to come home to them, and we're, you know, this is a job. I always talk about, you know, it's just another day at the office. Uh, we're too busy to get into too much trouble for sure. If you've ever seen one of our itineraries, our manager Robbie Cox in Nashville, he kind of lays it out. Okay, here's when you leave. Here's when you get here. Here's when you're doing sound check. Here's when you check in the hotel. Here's when you eat. It doesn't leave. And if you look at it, it doesn't leave a lot of time for foolishness. So, but and we get home as much as we can. I mean, we don't stay we stay overnight, you know, here and there, but we get home as much as we can, and you know, it makes the time that you're home seems more special when you've been when gone on the road for a few days.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine, back 40 years ago, or back when you was a teenager and things, and playing these, in the bands, and where the girls will scream and yell at you and stuff. You had no responsibility. But when you get older, you're like myself. I believe I can make it home and won't have to spend the night.
Exactly. It used to be I love staying on the road and spending the night in hotels and living on tour buses and all that, but now I'm just like, hey, we get through at 8 o'clock tonight. Do you think we can get home? You know, we had a show we had a show the other night that was 4 or 5 hours down the road, and we got through early. We got through like 9 or 10 o'clock. And we're like, hey, I bet we can get home by about 12 or 1 o'clock. And so you know, a couple of us, hey, let's go. You know, so we take off and get back home. So like I said, this living on the road is fun when you're younger. But when the older you get, the more you look forward to getting back home.
Exactly. Now, do you have someone that drives your tour bus, or do y'all take turns, or
We
how
actually
do
have
you do
had
it?
tour buses through the years. We've downsized a little bit. We've got our road crew is in a big box truck with all the equipment. They go usually several hours ahead of us and have everything ready when we get there. But we travel right now in two high top conversion vans, and that makes things a little easier too. If you got some guys that want to stay and some guys want to go home, or some guys want to do something different, got to leave a little later in the day than we planned on. It simplifies things. But at some point, we may end up back in a bus if our schedule picks up and spreads out. That's the other thing too. If you've got shows that are, 6, 8, 10 hours away, the bus surely makes it a lot easier to do those shows. We got a show this weekend in Virginia, in Lexington, Virginia, which is about a 6 hour ride. But the
Mhm.
night before that will be in Abbeville, about literally 10 minutes behind me. So that's you got an easy night and you got a rough night. So, but we'll spend the night in Virginia, come back on Sunday. So Sunday will be a travel day.
Yeah, well, I can kind of see see the 23-year-old saying, "Hey guys, we'll get through here. Let's go out over here. No, we're going to bed. It's not yeah,
We got
what time
we
is it?
got a
10
few guys
o'clock."
that we've got a few guys that try to hang in there with him, but yeah, he can be a bad influence sometimes. He's like, oh, come on, guys, you can do it. Come on, let's go out. Let's go do something.
Now, I know the band was made famous and sold 1.5 million albums for Double Shot of My Baby Love
Yep,
in 1966.
yep,
And I actually played it this past weekend at, at a guy's. He it's kind of prom slash birthday,
yeah,
and I played it on there, and I watched them, and I'm being honest with you is that when I play some of their music, when I call their music like
hmm
that, they stand around and talk.
yeah.
You know, we have dancing music, and I start playing the old school music,
Oh yeah,
and they start just going, just really wild, uh, and dancing and stuff like this is something new to them.
yeah.
But the other part they stand around, and that's one of the songs that I played, and then they started clapping in one song when he was going to blow his candles out. So I stuck an old school in there, chain, chain, chain. Gosh, you'd think that
Yeah.
that was the newest hit ever come on the world.
Well, that music that music has such staying power. A lot of this new stuff that you hear on the radio, it'll come and go, and you won't hear it after a year or two. It kind of comes and goes. Where this music here has lingered on for 40, 50 years, and there's so much of it that's being redone and kind of recreated a little bit. That of course you get people that sample songs all the time and kind of turn them into other things. And my daughter, she's 24, just graduated from college, and she'll play me this song and she say, "Hey, listen to this new song." I'm like, "That song's not new."
Uh-oh. Richard Looper, he disappeared on me. Hold on a second, I'll get him back. Hold on, there he is.
Okay. I think my internet here is about as reliable as yours has been today. It kind of comes and goes sometimes here.
Right, mine went completely kapoop.
Yeah.
Now, you talking about even these songs, even when we was just talking about, has been on radio, television, motion pictures,
Yeah.
and it just keeps going. And it's just kind of really, to me, commercials use more of the old school songs than they do the new.
Well, again, they're timeless. I mean, they cross generational boundaries. I always joke that, people from 8 to 80 can listen to this stuff and find something that they like in it. I mean, it's just good quality stuff where, like I said, a lot of the stuff that's on the radio today has a cool beat to it. And in fact, my daughter will talk about, "Hey, this song is great." And I said, "Hey, can you hum a little bit to it? Can you sing a line of it?" And she's like, "Well, it doesn't really have a tune. It's just kind of got a cool beat." And I'm like, "That's not a song. That's a beat. That's not a song." And so, yeah, it's just good quality stuff. And like I said, I think it's just got such staying power. And that's why I enjoy playing it. It never gets old. And people like, does Double Shot ever get old? And I'm like, no, but every night is different, and the people that'll listen to every night are different. And so it's the reaction of the crowd that keeps you going. If they're not dancing, we're not doing our job. That's some of these sit down. Some of these venues you play where it's a seated audience. Sometimes it's just you want to yell out, "Get out of your seat and dance!"
Exactly, and I know the Swingin Medallions have quite a few hits. She Drives Me Out of My Mind, which was in
Yep.
1967, and 1969 they released Hey 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 Baby, and
Oh yeah.
now also the song was featured in the 2004 Gator Bowl halftime show.
Yep. Sure
Uh,
was. Yep.
and and I think you released quite a few through Capitol Records. Of course, we remember the good old Capitol Records and
Oh
Smash
yeah.
Records,
Oh yeah.
and so it was just one thing after another. And who were some of the artists that was on stage that you uh, not filled in for, but opened up for? What are some of your fond memories of some of those artists?
Probably one of the coolest memories that I have was we opened for the Temptations. The Temptations were playing actually here in Greenwood at the Greenwood Civic Center, and I was still in college. I think I'd been in the band maybe a year or two, and so we really worked hard to feel like we could hang in there with them and open for them. In fact, Shawn and I and a couple other guys in the band actually played in their horn section because they hire their horn section wherever they go. And so we're opening for them, and we're on stage, we're playing, and I think we're doing pretty good. And out of the corner of my eye, I could see somebody standing next to the stage, and it was Melvin from the Temptations, the bass singer, the one they call Blue. And
Right.
he's standing there with his arms crossed, watching us, and he looks like he's mad. He has this real serious look on his face. I'm like, oh my God, we suck. He hates us. And so when we got finished playing, I had to walk past him. So I purposely avoided eye contact with him and kind of walked past him. And in this booming, huge baritone voice that you hear on all their records, you hear, "Hey, you, come here." So I walk over there real sheepishly, and he throws his arm around my neck and he pulls me in tight. And he says, y'all are pretty good for a bunch of white boys. And then he started laughing and giggling. And he was the sweetest, biggest teddy bear, and asked all kind of questions about the band. He asked, you and I were talking about, Shawn McElrath. We hang him upside down on a shotgun and let him play upside down. And he said, "Y'all ever drop that white boy on his head? Why y'all do it like that?" He asked questions about why we did certain songs certain ways and how long we've been doing that and how did you get started. And he was just the nicest guy and didn't have to be. I mean, this is a guy that's, been all over the world and sold millions and millions of records and has Grammys. And I mean, he was just so nice to us and kind to us. And we played a few more shows with him over the years, but it wasn't long after that he died. And that really broke my heart. He was just such a nice guy.
It, and that I bet you see him standing over with that arms crossed like he's mad. I bet that tore you up.
It did. I'm like, oh my God. We worked hard to be able to hang in here. We have to feel like we're worthy to play with him. He hates us. He thinks we're terrible. And just, he after it was all over with, he was just, "Man, you guys are killing, man. Y'all are good," and just went on and on and on. Was just really nice to us. And I just thought that's a great memory. That's one I'll tell the grandkids, one day. That's one of my biggest regrets is I didn't take more pictures and get more autographs. We didn't have a cell phone in our pocket back then to snap a picture or get an autograph or whatever. And I'll hear a group on the radio and again, my daughter is kind of my touchstone, and I'll say, "Yeah, I played with those guys." She's like, "No, you did not," because we played with B-52s, Cool in the Gang, uh, you know, Tams, Drifters, Platters, Coasters, Embers, all kinds of groups through the years. Edwin McCain from Greenville, a friend of ours. We played some shows with him over the years. It's just all kind of stuff we've done with all kind of great artists. And I wish, like I said, I'd have gotten more memories to be able to kind of be able, show her and have. So that's one regret I have. I wish I'd have, because when you're young and you're hanging in there with these people, you think, well, they're doing the same thing I'm doing. I don't want their autograph. I don't bother them and aggravate them. But now I wish I
And
had.
well, and you think so. I don't be like I'm cheesy or something.
Yeah, I don't want to bother these people. I don't want to aggravate these people. But like I said, I wish I'd have done more of that. That's one regret I've had.
Well, I know in September of 2009, Bruce Springsteen had an E Street band invited the Swingin Medallions on stage in Bilo Center in Greenville to do the rendition of Double Shot. And I can imagine the boss, having you come up, it had to be great. Uh,
He
for
was a big fan of the
that
original
beautiful
band. When
song.
he was a kid, he would follow them around, and he actually called them one of his influences. He actually gave them credit for kind of getting him started in the music business. Always thought that was kind of cool.
Wow, it was. Now, and I think it was 2008. I'm just reading some of your bio there that you was invited as a United States ambassador to Canada, where they performed in Ottawa, Canada, in July 4th celebration.
Yep. Yep.
That so you're known all over the place, and I tell you what, we're going to go and I'm going to put us down on the bottom right here. Let me switch this one thing off here right now. And by the way, people, if you look at the bottom, it's just your contact information right here. You can get that and contact if you want to have them perform at one of your big concerts. Hey, numbers there. and we're going to click it off for a second because we're going to go look. We're going to look at some pictures, and you can help me with this right here. You're getting darker on there, but I know because it's getting dark outside, isn't it?
Well, I'm gonna
Wait, you
down earlier. This there's a little depressed, so I'm gonna try to shed a little light on the situation here. I'm out in my front yard, so I had some sunshine a while ago, but the sun has left me. So we'll do
yeah.
this. We'll go inside here. So hey,
Yeah, it was a great day today. Close to 80 degrees here. So, well, yours too.
yeah, it's been nice here.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up some pictures, and we'll talk about it. We're going to see the band there too. Now, this is entire band. It is this recently pictured or?
That's probably been within the past year. That's me on the far left there on the front there. But yeah, that's a fairly recent.
Yeah, that was good. And that was I was going to have that as my background, but well, the internet changed. And, now this is Shawn right here. Your voice is breaking up just a little bit, Richard.
And started the band.
Okay, he's the oldest son of the founder of the band, right? Can't hear you, Richard.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good.
All right, I'll go to the next picture here.
That's Shane. That's his younger brother, Shane. And like I said, when he started, he was in high school. And the funny thing was, I was one of the few guys in the band that was actually old enough to go into some of the places we were actually playing.
I've got to ask, who picked out the wardrobe?
we kind of try to find something that's kind of loud and obnoxious like we are. I was joking with somebody the other day that said, "Who picks out your clothes?" I said, "Well, when Ringling Brothers went out of business, their stylists needed a job, so we put them to work. And so the same people that dress clowns at the circus dress us." But if you watch the original band, the pictures of the original band, those guys wore kind of stuff that was outlandish for the day. They wore Madras plaid patchwork pants and paisley pants and a lot of seersucker and just crazy stuff. So we kind of do that a little bit as a throwback to the original band, kind of a tribute to them. But
in the 60s, 70s, you wore that stuff. I had a paisley shirt and paisley pair of pants.
Oh yeah,
wild.
Oh yeah, that's why I say that was stylish back then. So we're just kind of pushing the envelope on style a little bit when we wear that stuff. That's Chris Crow, our Barry sax player, and he's kind of the front guy of the band. A lot of times he does a lot of the talking on stage, so we call him the mouth of the South.
Josh Snelling.
That's Josh Snelling. He's the other trumpet player, and he does a lot of lead singing too. He and I trade off stuff on trumpet a lot, so we got two trumpet players in the band.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and he's a Lander guy too. That's John Smith Bucket. He is actually Shawn and Shane's cousin. So keeping the money in the family here. But he's a great guy. He's one of the younger guys. Just recently got married. In fact, he celebrated his first anniversary yesterday with his wife. And he's a good addition to the band. He got a great voice and he's a good front man and sings lead on a lot of our stuff. And there's me.
Who's this guy?
I don't know who that guy is. They need to get rid of him. He's trouble. I've heard bad things about him.
Oh, and we're still hearing from him.
I know. He can't get rid of him. He left and came back. And yeah, that's Marcus. Yeah, that's Marcus Gullen. He's one of our newest additions. He's our drummer, and he's a great musician. He can play anything. He can play keyboard, play guitar. He does a lot of traveling during the week when the band is not on the road, and he has kind of a knack for putting things together. He kind of he'll play a drum and get it looping, and then he'll start a guitar and play a keyboard, and he can do an entire song by himself. And
Wow.
does that. They call it looping in the music business, and he's really, really good at it, and just phenomenal talent. We're lucky to have him. He's a great guy.
You know, I had the drummer for Three Dog Night interviewed him. He was telling me that a drummer that if a drummer can drum and sing is a wonderful talent because they got a different beats going with the drums than they do with the other music, and they're singing back too with the other music. And he said it's just very hard and it's very talented.
It's kind of a left hand, kind of a left brain, right brain thing. You have to kind of separate the two, and because, like you said, a lot of times they're singing one rhythm, but they're playing a different rhythm. And so you're right. It's I can't even walk and chew gum, and anybody that can do that is pretty talented. We played a lot of shows with Three Dog Night back in the day, and those were great guys. Had a lot of fun through the years with them too.
Yeah, McKee is his name, but
Yeah.
he's got horse ranches and stuff out there for kids now. He's just doing fantastic job with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ronnie Gold.
Ronnie Goldman, RG. He's played in the band several times through the years. We always joke that he's like a bad penny. He keeps coming back, but he's played through. He started in the '70s and the '80s and left in the '90s and came back, and so he's a great guy. In fact, we're lucky to have him still on the earth because he had kind of a health scare last year and he was in the hospital for about 2 months, and we thought he was going to come out feet first, but he's back with the band again. He's back on the road, and he's a great guy. He's a lot of fun.
Great. I'm glad he's back on the road and because I knew your band when you was telling me earlier like that y'all like family. And,
Oh yeah, we're like a bunch of brothers. We argue like brothers, but at the end of the day, I love you, man. After about 3 or 4 days on the road, though, we get back in agreement. It's like I love you, but I don't want to see you for a couple of days.
Exactly. It's I can love you, but I don't have to like you right now.
Yeah. And there's the baby in the band, Mackenzie Walden. We call him Mac, and he's a phenomenal talent too. He can play anything with strings on it: guitar, bass. He can do some singing. He plays saxophone. I mean, he's that's one thing about our band. Everybody plays a couple of instruments, and we sometimes get bored and, hey, let's trade instruments. Can I play saxophone on this? And so he'll put down the bass and play saxophone on a couple songs. He sings on a lot of stuff, but he's a great musician. He really is, and he's another product of Lander University. We seem to get all these guys out of Lander. In fact, I got to go to Lander later this month to give a speech on life after Lander. And when I was at Lander, I was kind of a black sheep, because the professor's like, "Oh, you're never going to amount to anything. That's not legitimate music. You're wasting your talent. You're wasting your time. You need to be serious about your music career." And now they're all like, "Hey, can you come back and talk to our students about your band?" I'm like, "Wait a minute. I thought you guys didn't like me."
It'd be nice to have that same professor there, right?
Well, I actually had one of my professors who was actually head of the music department. He was a world-class concert pianist, and he really gave me a hard time about traveling and playing with the band. And he searched me out later, a couple of years ago, and sat in my office. He said, "Richard, I'm going to admit something today that I would not have said 20 years ago." He says, "You learned far more traveling and playing in your band than I could have taught you in a classroom." I'm like, "Who are you? Do I know you?" And so. But he says, "No, I have melted in my old age and come to realize that the world did not revolve around, the classroom, and there's life outside of school, and I'm proud of you, and you've done well for yourself." And and I'm like, wow, that took a lot for that guy to say that, because like I said, he was a world-class pianist, and he passed away about a year or two ago, and I hated it. He was such a nice guy, and I always did well in his classes. He taught music history, and I loved music history. But yeah, he was not very accepting of my career choices to begin with.
Well, he learned a lesson too, didn't he?
we all learn as we go. And there's Joe. Joe Morris was the original drummer in the band, and he's still pretty active. He comes around from time to time and sits in and sings, and he's a good guy. He's kind of our touchstone. He's the guy that kind of connects us back to the originals, because there's 4 of the original 8 guys are still living, but Joe's one of the few of them that still actually gets on the road and plays on a irregular basis, I guess you'd say. But
Now, does Joe tell you about the good old days?
oh Lord, he tells us, how much better it was when he did it, and And it's kind of like your parents, they tell they walked uphill both ways in the snow to school and all that kind of
Uh,
stuff. Uh,
exactly.
yeah, we pushed the tour bus, both ways up and down the interstate. So yeah, he gives us all the war stories and all the. So I mean, but yeah, we give him a hard time, but he's a great guy, and like I said, he's a good guy to have around.
Yeah, I told my kids I used to walk to school, and it's uphill, and it was, and until I took them by and showed them where I lived at, and they said, "Wait a minute, there's the school." It was like 100 feet away from the house. No, I hear it was you're playing at it's like a huge venue right there that you got
That
a
is
lot of people out
that's
there.
just outside of Birmingham, Alabama. We just played there again a few weeks ago. It is a really cool venue. It's an amphitheater that has kind of they call it an entertainment district. Uh, there's bars and restaurants down both sides, and there's a big pavilion in the middle there, and there's a huge screen back behind the band there where they show football games and stuff during the weekends and stuff like that. So it's just a cool place. It's actually called Trussville, Alabama. It's just outside of Birmingham.
And the guy over there with the this had to be Christmas time.
Yeah, that was actually I think that was this past year in Myrtle Beach. We did a Christmas show in Myrtle Beach at the Spanish Galleon. We had not done a Christmas show in many years, and they invited us to come down there and do a Christmas show. They had a series of bands that played down there for Christmas, and so we went down there and did that. That was a lot of fun. I hope to get to do that again sometime soon.
And it's real great when you get to have fun doing some of these venues.
Oh yeah, it
Right
really is.
here had a highway named after John.
We've been talking about that for years and years. He got the Order of the Palmetto, which is the highest civilian honor in the state of South Carolina. He got that right before he died, and I had a friend that I grew up with whose dad was a state senator, and I knew that he had just had a road named after his dad. And I went and spoke to him, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a no-brainer." He says, John would be a shoe-in for that, and so it literally had to go through the state legislature to get that done. And the road between Greenwood and 96 now is John McElrath Memorial Highway, which is very fitting because the band started in 96 and kind of ended up in Greenwood, and so we just thought that would be fitting to have that road named after him. That we did that not quite even a year ago. That was just done this past spring, I think.
That is great. We had a couple bridges recently. Uh, my wife and I and another person there were three war vets that passed away in the Vietnam War, and those bridges weren't named brand new bridges, so we got that done.
That's
So
awesome.
it gives honor to the person, just like it did here at John. Uh, and that's great. Now, is this the original band picture on the right?
Yeah, that's like we were talking about earlier, how the band has always had big horn sections. That was the original horn guys over on the right hand side there. And like I said, there was, you know, they we've always had. That's the thing that kind of identifies the band is we've always had a big horn section. That's some of the original guys there. You can tell from the pants. Those are some of the original guys there. Now on the far right hand side there, I think that's Paul. I think that's Paul Perkins, whose brother Jimmy is on the far left hand side there. Jimmy was one of the original medallions, and Paul currently tours with the band. And like I said, that's his little brother, or Paul's the little brother. Jimmy's the big brother. And Jimmy's still around. He lives on Lake Greenwood, and we see him from time to time. We've still got Carol Bledsoe, who actually wrote a book about the band. That's a pretty good book if you want to check it out. It's on our website, swingingmedallions.com. You can get a copy of it there, and he signs those for us. He lives in Hendersonville, North Carolina, on top of a mountain. And we've got Brent Fortson, the guy in the blue shirt there in the middle. He is a practicing attorney in Greenville. I think he still practices law on a irregular basis, but he's an awesome saxophone player, great musician. And so that's those three guys and Joe make up the four guys that we still have around, and we still love those guys. They always have a red carpet rolled out for them anytime they want to come sit in and play with us.
Now, I'm just wondering, do they still have the pants Do they keep the pants?
I think everybody's got a closet full of those pants. I know I've got plenty of them through the years.
And this is bringing back some old pictures here. The Swingin Medallions double shot. That's I guess the original group on the left when they were a little younger.
Oh yeah, we tried to recreate that picture a few years ago. We got the same pants and the same shirt, and went to the exact same spot. That's actually First Presbyterian Church here in Greenwood, a little archway back behind the church there. And we recreated that picture and tried to kind of update it, but it wasn't near as good as the first one. You know, nothing's ever as good as the original. The sequel's always, you know, a little different.
And of course, the headlines of the college crowd digs the medallions.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, these were, like I said, they were a bunch of college kids that kind of had an accidental hit. You know, Double Shot was never ever really meant to be released. It was a record that they made to sell at shows, and a DJ in Birmingham, Alabama named Rod Roddy started playing it. Rocking Rod Roddy started playing it, and it spread from there. And it just kind of went up the East Coast, and then I went out west. And so it was, you know, records today, you know, they're all released on the internet, and they all release at the same time. And they said if that song had been released the way songs are released now, it would have gone #1 for a lot longer and sold a lot more records probably. But it, you know, it was kind of released, you know, kind of a staggered release, I guess you would say, because it kind of caught fire in the South and went up the coast and then went out west. But they were college students, so they couldn't quit school and really promote the records. And so they literally go to class Monday through Friday, and they go play on weekends. And, you know, they do American Bandstand on Saturday and be back in class on Monday.
Man.
Or else get sent to Vietnam. You know, that was your choice back then.
Exactly. And, you know, when people don't realize when you're playing music, they're having fun and you're having fun up there, but they really don't realize how much work is really involved.
You know, the travel is the work part of it to me. I always tell people, don't tell my manager in Nashville this. He's probably watching this. I play for free. You pay me to ride up and down the road. Playing is the easy part. Getting ready to play and all the travel involved is is the hard part. That's what you know. That's the work.
All right. Do you a lot of the band get together? Do you do a lot of practice, or y'all kind of know?
If we're working on something new, we're learning something new, we're working on something new, we'll have a rehearsal. Or if there's something that's kind of having, you know, kind of got a rough spot in it, we'll take it and rehearse it. But most of the time, the band plays so much. A lot of times we'll work up things on our own and then put it together. Sometimes in a sound check, you know, we'll go, you know, before the show, we'll run through it a couple times and get it to where it's presentable and flows. But the band doesn't rehearse on a regular basis like some bands do. We've been doing it for so long, I guess. But yeah, if we're working up something new, or we're getting ready to record or make a record or something like that, we may go in the recording studio and work it up and get it ready to go. We don't practice. We don't practice as much as we should. I'll put it that way.
Well, there's a picture on the left though. That's some high jumps right there.
That's the end of a shotgun where, you know, he's hanging upside down and he plays upside down and they basically throw him and he lands on his feet.
Well, I was thinking, does he have a springboard there or what?
No, they pick him up by his arms and his legs and they swing him, and then they throw him in the air and let him go, and he lands on his feet. And so it's there's a trick to it. I'm too fat to do that. So thank God Shawn knows how to do it.
And I had to put the drummer's picture in there because on every video and stuff like that, the drummer's always kind of hidden in the back.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I shoot a lot of live feed video when we're on the road sometimes, and people are like, "Where are you at? Are you really in this band?" I'm like, "I'm the one shooting the video. That's why you don't see me. I'm the one holding the camera."
Somebody's got to do it, right?
That's right. Yeah, there he is doing shotgun. That's where they hang him upside down. And he plays the solo upside down on shotgun. The old Junior Walker and the All Star song.
That's some great pictures. But we talked about the hit song and we talked about his flipping it upside down. Now let's watch it. Live video.
Okay.
We can't finish it like this. Everybody, clap your hands.
That just looks so fun. And
It's a hoot. I mean, and that's one time we didn't drop him on his head. So
well, you didn't drop him on the head, but I tell you what, it was that was just phenomenal how he has that much air to breathe.
yeah, I can't play standing up. He plays upside down. I can't get over it. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking all that blood rushing through his head like that, and the air's getting pressed down. And
Oh
so,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
but
definitely a
that
trick to it for sure. But he's been doing it for so long. Like I said, he's been doing it since he was a kid. So I mean, he started out like I said. He and his brother basically grew up at the watching the original guys from the time they were born. So I mean, they were kind of born into the business. They didn't have a whole lot of choice in the matter.
well, that was great. I had to show that when I was looking at some of the others like it. I said, "Nah, I got to get this one here. This is great."
That's the one that seems to get the most attention. And we always tell people, get your cameras ready because here it comes. As soon as you hear shotgun, this it's gonna be something to it.
Yeah. Well, I know that the band has played on with Coors Brewing Company with the Sterling Marlin and hundreds of fans on a cruise on a
Yeah.
Caribbean cruise. That had to be fun. I've been on several cruises, and it's always the bands they get is just fantastic. They get first class.
We haven't done one since COVID. We probably need to start maybe thinking about doing another one. Those were always a lot of fun. It's like a paid vacation for us because we usually play two shows. We play one on the way down and one on the way back. And so we used to do 4-day cruises. They were always a lot of fun. That's just long enough to go have some fun and get back home. So it'd be nice to do another cruise. I know a lot of bands do those. I know the Embers do one regularly, and a lot of other bands like that do cruises. So uh, well, I think the last one we took, we probably took six or 800 fans with us. We had a good time.
Well, I know that we was talking about the music playing. They were even on television programs, the series Ally McDeal. I remember that song. Remember that episode,
Yeah,
and they sang along with the original recording
yeah,
in the 1998 episode, and Bruce Willis sang the
yeah.
song and Moonlighting, and that was a great music.
There-
And
there's a YouTube video of him singing. Oh, must be a dozen songs. He loved old R&B. He loved old Motown stuff, and so when he sang Double Shot, I always thought that was kind of cool. But he always kind of fancied himself a singer. He actually made an album. It was actually
Mhm.
pretty good. And so when he came in like a night after a long drunk or something like that. I think is the way the episode ran. He came in singing Double Shot, talking about how bad his head hurt. My head hurt so bad. The funny thing about that song is WABC in New York would not play that song because it had the word hangover in it. And so they literally had to go back in the studio. And so there's a version of Double Shot out there that says, woke up this morning, my head was so bad, the worst morning after that I ever had. So,
Oh,
I mean, you think about some of the things that are on records now and some of the things that people say in records now, and you think back 1966, you couldn't say the word hangover on the radio.
well, Elvis couldn't even move his pelvis.
Exactly. So, that was just shows you how much times have changed. I mean, and how much the culture has changed where, Elvis the pelvis would be very, very tame by today's standards. They'd be like, what's that guy doing? That's nothing. You
Well,
think about some of the stuff that James Brown did and Elvis did and Prince later in life did. And so, I mean, it's just par for the course now.
Well, people don't realize where the song has showed up everywhere. Even NBC picked it up on the miniseries back in the '60s.
Yep.
Even the big screen in the movie Sorority Boys, and I remember that movie. And even the most recent, I think in 2017, the lead character in the movie, the big sick,
Yeah.
wore the T-shirt in
Yeah.
many of the
Just out
scenes.
of nowhere, this guy shows up wearing one of our T-shirts, and we're like, how did he get that? And so we're not sure exactly how he ended up wearing that shirt because he's based out of Chicago. He's a Chicago based comedian. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, and he wears the shirt in about 15 minutes of the movie, wearing one of
Yeah.
our or a shirt that looks like this that's red. And so I was just like, how did that happen? And the guys in Nashville were like, we didn't have anything to do with that, our management guys. And we actually knew somebody at the movie studio that's from Greenwood, and he says I didn't have anything to do with it, so we're not sure exactly how it happened, but it was kind of cool.
Well, I guess so. When you see someone out there and here's a big movie out, and hey, that's my T-shirt. And if you
Exactly, how did that show up? Where did that come from?
and folks, down below is where you can all the contact information, and also go to the website, the Swingin Medallions website, and you can buy some of these merchandise, buy the
Yep.
T-shirt, hat, whatever like that. And if you show up in a movie, let them know with that T-shirt on.
And check out our Facebook page too. That's a good way to
Yeah.
follow us and know what we're doing and where we are. In fact, as soon as I get off of here, I've got to do my little Monday minute that I do every Monday to let everybody know where we're going and what we're doing. And yeah, if I don't do it by like 8 or 9 o'clock on a Monday night, I get chewed out. I mean, the people start blowing my phone up. Where are you? It's Monday. You didn't do it.
Well, Richard, I really appreciate you coming on my show, and it's been a great time. We're getting counting down here to the end, and I just really appreciate your band. You got great music, and just so much that you have to offer from 1962 to even now, even bringing back the yesteryears in your fine music. And we really appreciate you and the band.
Well, we appreciate our fans and we appreciate guys like you keeping us going and keeping this music alive. And but yeah, check us out, swingmedallions.com. Check out the Swing Medallions Facebook channel. We've also got a YouTube channel with a lot of our videos on there and stuff on there. We've got a Pandora channel with a lot of our music on it and the music of other bands whose stuff that we cover on the road. So there's lots of ways to follow us and keep up with us and listen to us. So, and we've got a new song out called "Hit Me with Them Horns" that's doing real well on the beach music
Yep.
charts. It's running in the top. It's been running in the top 10 and the beach music charts now since June. So it's doing real well, and it's actually up for some Beach Music Awards. So we'll be at the Carolina Beach Music Awards in November, and we're up for Song of the Year, Group of the Year, Writer of the Year, Engineer of the Year. So we'll be down there for that in November. November 7th, I think it is, Sunday, or is it November 9th? I can't remember. So it's on our Facebook channel, and it's also on our website, all the dates there. And we'll be playing an after party after that at Fat Harold's on the beach. So that'll be fun.
Well, I want to put you backstage a second while I close out, and I'll be
Sounds
right with
good.
you. Okay. All right. I tell you what, you heard Richard from the Swingin Medallions. Go to their website, go to their Facebook page, listen to his minutes. He'll be coming up right now, just telling you a bit Minute Monday. And hey, I tell you what, get a chance, you hear their names, go see them. You will find out some great ones. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and next week we will let you know during this week who's going to be. If I could be a surprise. But I'm Jerry McKee, and thank you for watching, and have a great, great evening.